What's good with YouTube? Y'all know Big Flacco with the comics reaction where we smash, dash, and react. And before we get to this reaction video, this banger, let's hit that like, subscribe, comment, and do all those things to help support your boy, and hit that bell notification for future fire reactions. Now, the face of LA, Baldacci, right, has been catching a lot of attention from a lot of people from Northern California all the way down to Southern California, based upon the fact of him working now with Goldtoes. Shouts out to Baldacci for, you know what I'm saying, going against the grain, right? As far as the popular expectations, right? And working hand in hand with Goldtoes, right? It seems like them two have a good relationship. Baldacci has posted stuff on Instagram talking about that man. One of the very few people that came to see him when he was in the hospital was actually Goldtoes. Now they just did a video, right? War stories. And at the end of the video, you see Goldtoes tapping in, and you see Baldacci and his small entourage, right, that are playing dominoes, basically showing love and support for Goldtoes. Now, Baldacci became the first rapper that I know of from Southern California, you know, a Southsider, who basically came out on Shimo Media in a video that was presented on their channel. And just in the comments alone, man, from that video, you see a lot of love and respect that's being given to Baldacci from those that are from Northern California. One thing is to be purely business, right? But I think Baldacci and Goldtoes are showing, like, man, there's a little bit of carnalismo and respect amongst them two men, right? You seen it the day that Baldacci showed up for the video of, you know, with Jenny 69 and whatnot. As soon as Goldtoes had seen him, and they've never met before, Goldtoes acknowledged him with respect, embraced him with a hug, man, and even threw him in the video. And I think that this is a key part of all this, right? As long as your business adventures, right, don't overstep and affect any of these organizations or their business, what you do in your personal life, who you associate with, and who you decide to be friends with shouldn't fucking matter. That gang lifestyle, you know, all that, it's not supposed to control your day-to-day, you know, lives, especially if you're out there in the streets and you're involved in things that ain't illegal, you know? It's supposed to be something that, hey, is there, you recognize it, you respect it, and you don't tamper with it, unless you choose to. But as far as your personal business and relationships, I don't think any of us have any say-so over that, period. The song was lit, right, as well, and it just showed a different side as far as, you know, Baldacci's skills, man, and I enjoyed it, man. I was like, okay, this is what I'm talking about, man. You know, the way he's going about everything, as far as even being criticized, he's handling it right. So many people who are worried about what the next man does or who he does it with, they need to worry about what they're doing with themselves, first and foremost. And I've said this before, if ever an artist from down south was to open up and work with someone from up north, it was going to open up doors for them and their people, right? As far as people ain't just going to be turned off on the music, you know? Because it's not about slandering people. It's not about taking shots. It's not about any of that, man. But about his life. What he lives day to day, or what he has lived day to day. All the other stuff, man, that people be rapping about, just doing disses and beefs and whatnot, a lot of that stuff is artificial. A lot of that is never going to reach its head, its peak. It's never going to happen. So it's just wasted energy on something that people just ain't being real about. When it comes to Southsiders and Northerners having any type of working relationship, right, the first thing you always hear is, what about the Upstaters that are on the front line? Well, what about the Southern hoods down south who've killed each other more than any other fucking group? Southsiders have killed more Southsiders than Northerners have killed Southsiders, or Southsiders killed Northerners. Those are 100% facts. Let's talk about, for years, the Upstaters weren't shown a lot of respect by people from down south. Ask anybody who did time in the 80s and 90s that's from a southern body or upstate. They'll tell you. They weren't always embraced the same way other Southsiders were embraced. There ain't no difference than the body warfare down south where Sudanos are killing Sudanos out in the streets, or Southsiders killing Southsiders from rival neighborhoods, right? And that is what goes on up north between upstaters and Norteños. There's no difference. In fact, the violence, I guarantee you, is even more so down south. Now, what's good about this Baldacci Goldtoes situation, right, is these are both mature grown men. You know, Baldacci does have prison time, you know, in his resume. And It's not about prison politics. It's not about street politics. It's about creating music. It's about doing something different. And for Baldacci to see that, man, I hope that others, respect what they see from him, and maybe there may be a few that will follow in his footsteps. There's been those that have signed to distributed by Goldtoes, but I think this is a little bit different. I think their agreement's going to be more hands-on involvement from Goldtoes. I've been tapping in, listening to a little bit of Baldacci stuff, man. I like the one Death of the Studio, 100 bars, because I've done 100 bars before, and it's not as easy as people think to come up with a track that spits 100 fucking bars, man. Like, that's like the totem pole of being up there, man, that you can hit all 100 bars in a fucking track. And he did it, man. He came fucking with some heat, man. So he's another rapper that's kind of slept on, man. But he kind of has a little bit of that OG stats with a little bit of swag, though. Now, I think right now you may have a few rappers that are being quiet on this because they want to see how this plays out. But if it plays out right, I guarantee you're going to have a lot of other rappers that are going to come forward and make a choice and try to work with Goldtoes. And see, this could be good, right? Because I think Baldacci got a good mindset as far as business acumen, right? That he could sit there, if he has a relationship with Goldtoes, he could soak up some game. Learn some of the tricks that Goldtoes has, done, and how he was able to advance and create the empire that he has. That's important. Nobody really from down south is offering that to anybody, okay? And that's the truth. The same way Baldacci's gotten a little bit of, criticism, I'm sure Goldtoes has got a little bit of criticism from some people, but not as much. As you see, you'll see Goldtoes with different rappers from San Jose, Oakland, the Bay Area, the Valley, and whatnot. But you'll also see him with other rappers from down south. So you don't hear too much barking or roaring coming from the north, right? So in my eyes, in my opinion, most of the northern rappers have accepted it. Goldtoes is going to do his thing. That's the homie, but he's going to do his thing with whoever. And they respect it. I think the Southsiders should have that same type of respect and energy on this same topic. If they don't want to work with a Northerner or anybody from Northern California, that's their prerogative. Go ahead. But no reason to sit there and beat it like a dead horse. The whole concept of, oh, you shouldn't be doing it, when it's already done. That's your decision. That's your choice. This is a personal decision. Politics should not really come into the music and social media world. It shouldn't, but it does. I think whatever these two individuals decide to do together, I think it's going to work out because maturity level, it's not like someone like Swifty Blue, no disrespect to Swifty Blue, or Lefty Gunplay, no disrespect to him, but they're young-minded individuals who could be swayed by what, the public asks of them or what other rappers ask of them, You see, with this North and South rappers and podcasters, you got to judge each one on an individual level. What one says on one podcast or one rapper does, it shouldn't affect the rest. So it's kind of like, in prison, with some of the relationships that people had with different groups. There was no true allies, right? But what your relationship was with that individual and that group at that time was what it was. It may not be the same in another institution. It's the same thing here. Not every Southsider is going to be supportive of anybody doing any business dealings with anybody from the North, and vice versa. But I think that the more overall majority are okay with it, or are neutral. And that's the important thing here is, if you can't persuade people to accept what you're doing, at least neutralize them to where they don't become an obstacle or a threat to diminish it. Those are key parts, man, and that can be done with these two individuals because, one, Baldacci, he's well known in LA. He's respected. Goldtoes, he's respected in the business. He gets a lot of hate from individuals that want to be him. Same dudes that running their mouth about him were the same dudes that were hoping to get signed or help or distributed by him. That's the funny thing about it, man. People know Goldtoes' value. That's key here. Goldtoes does have value. So does Baldacci. And when you could put two different individuals together and working towards common goals, man, you never know what these individuals may reach. So this is kind of big in my eyes. It's different because it's the first more seasoned, experienced Southsider who's done prison time and whatnot, who came and said basically he has no problems working with Goldtoes. This is like a friend to him now. It's just more than a business relationship. They were sitting there talking about life. And that's key, man. When you can sit there and make someone from the other side who's traditionally been in opposition When you guys can touch on common things that you guys can agree upon or likes and whatnot, you can build a relationship off that. That's one thing that even, as Northerners, they're taught, right? Is to infiltrate different lines or individuals is to reach common goals, things that an individual likes, and talk about it. And I'm not saying Goldtoes is doing any of that, because his mind is more on the business aspect of it, okay? But like I said, relationships can be built off what we're seeing. With all the fucking beef and the shit talking that's been going on, that's unbecoming of real Northerners and real Southsiders. They really don't get down like that. And it's everybody out there, man. If you're from the streets, or we're in those streets, right, or with that life in your past, right, listen to Baldacci's lyrics, man. You can relate to them, man. Big time. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. It's your boy Flacco. I'm out.